Welcome viewers. Today we are going to discuss linear transformations. I'll start with the summary of what we have done in my last lecture. In my last lecture I have started with the definition of linear transformation. I have discussed some properties of linear transformation, such as that if T is a linear transformation and theta 1 and theta 2 being the identity elements of the vector space V and W, then T of theta 1 is equal to theta 2. That is, theta 1 will map to theta 2. Then T of alpha minus beta is equal to T of alpha minus T of beta. Image of T is a subspace of W, image T being the range set for the transformation T, and kernel T is a subspace of V. We have further discussed that dimension of V is equal to dimension of kernel T plus dimension of image T. We have also discussed that T is 1 to 1, then kernel T is theta itself. This lecture includes singular and non-linear transformations, composite linear transformation, invertible transformation, matrix representation of transformation, some examples and some results. To start with, I will define what do we mean by a singular linear transformation. For this, let us say T is a linear transformation from the vector space V into W, then this is singular if the range of some non-zero vector under this transformation is theta. That means there exists some vector V belonging to V such that TV is equal to theta when V is not 0, and the transformation is said to be non-singular if and only if there exists theta belonging to V which maps into theta belonging to W. That means kernel T is equal to theta. Now we have earlier proved that T is 1 to 1 implies kernel T is equal to theta, and that means that T is non-singular when T is 1 to 1. So many times we take this as a definition for non-singular transformation, that if T is non-singular then T is 1 to 1 linear transformation. Now that T is a linear transformation from U into V, it is a 1-1 linear transformation, and the vectors u1, u2, un belonging to U are linearly independent vectors, then their images tu1, tu2, tun are also linearly independent vectors. This is a result which we have proved in my earlier lectures. Now we will make use of this, and then we can say that non-singular transformation preserves linear independence. A linear transformation is non-singular but not onto. One may notice that a linear transformation is onto but not non-singular. So these two things are different. Then we come to composite linear transformation. For this we need three vector spaces U, V and W. So let U, V, W are the vector spaces, and we have two transformations T from U to V and S from V into W. Then the composite transformation, which we denoted by S composite tree, which is from U to W, is defined as SOT, or we call it S composite T U is equal to S of TU for all U belonging to U. That means if I have a vector U in U, then TU will be in V. So if V belonging to V such that it is equal to TU, then S of V is equal to W for some W belonging to V, and then we say S composite T of U is equal to W. I illustrate this with the help of this diagram, in which I am showing three vector spaces U, V and W and two linear transformations T from U to V and S from V to W. that means a member u in U will go to V in V under the transformation T, and the same V under this transformation S will go to W, and that means this is a transformation which will take U to W, and this transformation is called the composite transformation ST. On the basis of this, I will establish certain results in the form of theorem. So, if we have a linear transformation T from the vector space U into V and another transformation S from V into W, then SOT is also a linear transformation. That means, if S and T are linear transformations, then composite of these two will also be a linear transformation. To prove this, we will consider alpha u1 plus u2 belonging to U, and we will prove that SOT of alpha u1 plus u2 is equal to alpha times SOT of u1 plus SOT of u2. We start with the left hand side. S composite T means S of T alpha u1 plus u2. So, we first operate this transformation T on this element, and since T happens to be a linear transformation, so T of alpha u1 plus u2 in the next step will become alpha T u1 plus T of u2. This is a basic definition of the linear transformation, and then this will become alpha S of T u1 plus S of T u2, because S is also a linear transformation. So, applying this linear transformation twice, once for T, next time for S, will get left hand side equal to right hand side, and that proves the result that SOT is a linear transformation. So, given two linear transformations, their composite is also a linear transformation. Now, let us see what do we mean by composite transformation with the help of an example. So, we have a linear transformation S from R2 to R2. Here S x y is defined as x plus y and x minus 2y. So, an element x y in R2 will map to x plus y comma x minus 2y under the transformation S, and another linear transformation T defined by T of x y is equal to x comma y minus x. So, the question is to compute T composite S for the element 1 comma 1 and S composite T for the element 1 comma 1. So, let us see what happens. I start with TOS of 1 comma 1. This means we first operate S. So, S linear transformation on the element 1 comma 1. So, S operated on the vector 1 comma 1 gives me 1 plus 1. See the definition, x plus y, here x and y are 1. So, it is 1 plus 1 comma x minus 2y. So, it is 1 minus 2, and that makes T of 2 minus 1. So, this left hand side is equal to T of 2 minus 1. Then I apply the definition for the second transformation T, that is this definition, and this means x is equal to 2. So, this is x, and the second component will become y minus x, y is equal to minus 1 and x is 2. So, it becomes minus 1 minus 2, and finally it is 2 minus 3. So, TOS of 1 comma 1 is 2 comma minus 3, while S composite T on 1 comma 1 is equal to S T on 1 comma 1 minus 1. I am first using this definition x comma y minus x. So, it is 1 comma 1 minus 1. So, this reduces to S 1 comma 0, and now I apply this definition. So, it is equal to 1 plus 0 x plus y comma 1 minus 2, this is equal to 1 comma minus 1. So, that is how we compute composite transformation. So, given two transformations, one can obtain composite transformation. Now, we come to inverse of a transformation. A linear transformation T from the vector space U into V is called invertible if there exists a unique linear transformation S from V into U such that S composite T is identity of the vector space U and T composite S is the identity of the vector space V. Now, both these things should be satisfied. If we can find such a transformation that these two composite transformations satisfy this, then we say that then we can say that the transformation is invertible. Here IU is the identity transformation on U and this IV is the identity transformation on V. This first equation can be written as S composite T on U is equal to S T U is equal to U. So, U belonging to U and T composite S operated on V is equal to T S V is equal to V. So, V belonging to V. So, this is equivalent to this and the second one is equivalent to this. Now, one can see that S reverses the effect of T and vice versa. One can notice that U under this transformation goes to TU, but S will take it back to U itself. So, S reverses the effect of T. Here also V becomes SV under the transformation S and T will take it back again to V. So, we can say that S reverses the effect of T and vice versa. Further, if S is the inverse of T, we denote it by T inverse and we say S is equal to T inverse. We say T is the inverse of S or we write T is equal to S inverse. Clearly, if TU is equal to V, then T inverse V is equal to U. As we said that T inverse will nullify the effect of this transformation, it will take it back. So, we apply T on U, it will become V, but T inverse will take it back V to U. Also, if SV is equal to U, then S inverse U is equal to V. Now, we have an important result. It says that if U and T is a linear transformation from the vector space U into V and dimension U is equal to dimension V, then the following are equivalent, that is T is invertible, T is non-singular and T is onto. This I illustrate with the help of this diagram. Here I have two vector spaces U and V. T is a transformation which takes x to Tx. Now, T inverse is a transformation which will take y to x. Now, since T is a transformation, we said T has to be non-singular, that means only one element. If there are two different elements here, then they will map to one element here, and then this mapping has to be onto, because we have to take the same element y back to x. So, that is how we have the result, which says that invertible, non-singular and onto, they are equivalent. Now, we will prove this theorem that if T is a linear transformation which is 1 1, then T inverse from V into U is also a linear 1 1 transformation. To prove this, we first take a linear transformation T from U to V, which is given to be 1 1 linear transformation. We have earlier proved that such a linear 1-1 transformation will be non-singular. So, with this we further assume the existence of T inverse from V to U. Then if this happens to be a linear transformation, then we should prove that it is this T inverse is additive and homogeneous. So, first we consider two vectors V1 and V2 in V, then T inverse V1 is equal to U1 and T inverse V2 is equal to U2. This is our assumption. Then first means V1 is equal to T of U1 and second means V2 is equal to T of U2. This is because of the definition of T inverse. Then V1 plus V2 is equal to T of U1 plus U2. If you are convinced, then we can apply the linear property of linear transformation, and what we can have that T is equal to U1 plus U2, and this simply means V1 plus V2 is equal to T of U1 plus U2, and by the definition of inverse, T inverse of V1 plus V2 is equal to U1 plus U2, and that is what we need to prove that this is additive. The second is alpha V1 is equal to alpha TU1, which is equal to T times alpha U1, T being a linear transformation. So, from alpha V1 is equal to T of alpha U1, we can write down T inverse alpha V1 is equal to alpha U1, or it is equal to alpha times T inverse U1. So, homogeneous property is also satisfied, and hence one can say that T inverse is also a linear transformation. So, if T is linear, then T inverse is also linear, provided it is 1-1. To prove that T inverse is 1-1, we consider two different elements in V, say V1 and V2, which are not same. Then we have to prove that T inverse V1, their images are also be different in U. So, we start with V1 not equal to V2, then we will prove that T inverse V1 is not equal to T inverse V2. Now, U1 is equal to T inverse V1 and U2 is equal to T inverse V2. With this, V1 is equal to TU1 and V2 is equal to TU2. Since T is 1-1, so V1, V2 will be different, for TU1, TU2 different. So, T is 1-1, so U1 is equal to U2, and hence T inverse is 1-1. So, if we have 1-1 linear transformation T, then T inverse is also a 1-1 linear transformation. Now, in this example, we will show that the given linear transformation is 1-1 and onto, and if it is 1-1 and onto, then we will find its inverse also. To start with, T to be 1-1, its kernel T should be theta. That is how we prove that T is 1-1 transformation. So, let us consider an element ABC belonging to kernel T. We will prove that ABC actually has to be 0 if it has to belong to kernel T, and only then T inverse may exist. So, let us have ABC belonging to kernel T, and since ABC belongs to kernel T, so it can be written as AE1 plus BE2 plus CE3, that is any vector in R3 can be represented as a linear combination of the base vectors E1, E2, E3. Then we apply linear transformation on this. So, T of ABC is equal to T of AE1 plus BE2 plus CE3, and this is equal to theta. That is what we have assumed, that is what we have started with. So, we have T of this is equal to theta. So, let us apply this on this vector. That means we can write down A times TE1 plus B times TE2 plus C times TE3 is equal to theta, because T is a linear transformation. Next, we can apply, we can apply this definition which is given to us, T of E1, according to the definition, T of E1 is E2 plus E3. So, it is A times E2 plus E3 plus B times T of E2, which is E1 plus E2 plus E3, that is what has been given to us, plus C times E1 plus E2, which is TE3. So, we simplify this and correcting different terms, we will have B plus C E1 plus A plus B plus C is equal to A plus B plus C into E2 plus A plus B into E3 is equal to theta. So, we have collected different terms. E1 is coming from B as well as from C, E2 is from A, B and C. Similarly, E3 is A plus B. So, we will have this expression and this is a vector expression. So, each of these components should be 0. So, B plus C is equal to 0, A plus B plus C is to be 0 and A plus B equal to 0. Now, we have 3 equations in 3 unknowns A, B and C. From this A is equal to minus B and from this B is equal to minus C. If we substitute this in this equation, we will have A, B and C equal to 0. That means, we have started with non-zero vector A, B, C, but ultimately that vector comes out to be 0. That means, we will have only one vector in kernel T, that is the identity vector, and that means T is a 1-1 mapping. Now, the mapping T is this linear transformation T is R3 to R3. The dimension of B is 3, dimension of kernel T is 0. Why? Because it is 1-1 transformation. So, nullity is 0. So, from nullity and rank nullity theorem, we will have dimension of image T is equal to 3. Now, image T is a subset of R3 and that means image T is nothing but R3. Therefore, image T is the same as R3 and that means the transformation which is given to us is not only on 1-1, it is on 2 and accordingly the inverse transformation exists. That is, for given U belonging to R3, there exists V belonging to R3 such that T inverse V is equal to U. Now, for this I consider the vector V as C1, C2, C3 belonging to R3, which is a linear combination of the base vectors E1, E2, E3. So, we write down V as C1 E1 plus C2 E2 plus C3 E3. So, applying T inverse, we will have T inverse V is equal to C1 of T inverse E1 plus C2 of T inverse E2 plus C3 of T inverse E3. This we are getting because T inverse is also a linear transformation. So, applying T inverse on this means applying T inverse on these separately. So, we have this expression. Now, we can find T inverse E1, T inverse E2, T inverse E3, then the transformation will be known. So, we have to, if V is given to us, then from this we can find out the transformation if T inverse E1 and T inverse E2 and T inverse E3 are known. Now, what is given to us is T E1 is equal to E2 plus E3, T of E2 is equal to E1 plus E2 plus E3, T of E3 is equal to E1 plus E2. We are trying to find out T inverse E1, T inverse E2 and T inverse E3, and if we can find that, we can find out the inverse transformation. So, that is what we are going to do here. So, we write down, from this we can write down E1 is equal to T inverse E2 plus T inverse E3. So, I have applied T inverse here and using the property that T inverse is a linear transformation, I can write down E1 is equal to T inverse E2 plus T inverse E3. From this second expression, I am writing E2 is equal to T inverse E1 plus T inverse E2 plus T inverse E3, and from the third, E3 is equal to T inverse E1 plus T inverse E2. So now we can solve these three equations. From this we can write down T inverse E1 is equal to E2 minus E1, and from the third T inverse E3 is equal to E2 minus E3. Here I am using the linear property of T inverse. So once we get T inverse E1 is equal to E2 minus E1 and T inverse E3 as E2 minus E3, then we can substitute in the second equation to get T inverse E2. So from this T inverse E2 is E2 minus E2 plus E1 minus E2 plus E3, and that simplifies to E1 minus E2 plus E3. So we get T inverse E1, we know what is T inverse E2, and we know what is T inverse E3, and that means we can find out what is the image for the vector V, which is C1, C2, C3. So we can write down T inverse V as linear combination C1 T inverse E1 plus C2 T inverse E2 plus C3 T inverse E3, and that means T inverse V is determined. And substituting these values, T inverse V is equal to C1 E2 minus E1 plus C2 E1 minus E2 plus E3 plus C3 E2 minus E3. Simplifying it, T inverse of C1 C2 C3, which is the vector V, is equal to C2 minus C1 E1 plus C1 minus C2 plus C3 E2 plus C2 minus C3 E3. So given a vector C1 C2 C3, we can find out its inverse transformation T as this. So this transformation which was given to us is invertible, and we can find the transformation also. Now in the next example, we will take a linear transformation defined as T of E1 is equal to E1 plus E2, T of E2 as E3 minus 2 E2, T of E3 as E1 minus E2 plus E3, and then we will see that this is not this does not have an inverse. To prove this, we will see that it is not a 1-1 transformation, and for this purpose we will compute first the kernel of T. We will see that the kernel of T has some member ABC which is not 0, but still T ABC is theta. So let us assume that ABC is a non-zero vector belonging to kernel T, and T ABC is theta, or T, we write down the vector ABC as a linear combination of base vectors E1, E2, E3. So T of A E1 plus B E2 plus C of E3 is equal to theta, and we know that T is a linear transformation. So we can write it as A times T of E1 plus B times T of E2 plus C times T of E3 is equal to theta, and then we will make use of definition of T1, T2, T3 has been given to us. We write down A times E1 plus E2, that is the value for T1, plus B times E3 minus 2 E2, expression for T2, plus C times T3, that is E1 minus E2 plus E3, and this is equal to 0. Then we collect different terms, E1 first. So it is from here, it is A, no contribution from this, and here we have C. So we will have A plus C times E1 plus the next is E2. So A is coming from the first term, A minus 2B minus C times E2 plus B plus C, no contribution from this. So we will have this expression equal to 0, and that means A plus C is equal to 0 plus A minus 2B minus C equal to 0 and B plus C equal to 0. So the three components are going to be 0. So we have three equations in three unknowns A, B, C. So from first equation we can say A is equal to minus C. From the third equation we say b is equal to minus c, and when we substitute these values in the second equation, we can say c is equal to k and a is equal to minus k and b is equal to minus k. So, this value is coming from this equation, that is what we are getting from the second equation. A minus 2b minus c is equal to minus k minus 2 times minus c minus k is equal to 0, and that gives me the value of c, and accordingly the vector of the form minus k k belongs to kernel T. K can be any scalar and it may be 0 also, but it may be non-zero. That means there exists a non-zero vector in kernel T. So, kernel T is not merely 0, it has some more vectors, and that means it is not a 1-1 transformation, and of course according T inverse does not exist in such a case. So, we have proved that T inverse does not exist in such a case, and then in this result we are summarizing what we have done so far. We have a vector space V of dimension n, and we have an operator T from V to V, we call it a linear operator. Then the following statements are equivalent: T is 1-1, T is onto, kernel T is equal to theta, only identity vector, nullity T is equal to 0 in this case, image T is equal to V, and T is non-singular. So, this is what we have done for the linear transformation. In the next part of my lecture, I will be discussing matrix representation of a linear transformation. Now, let us consider T is a linear transformation from the vector space V into W. Let B1 is a ordered basis for the vector space V consisting of V1, V2, Vn is an n-dimensional vector space. Then any vector V in V can uniquely be expressed as V is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus Cn Vn. This is true because this is a basis for the vector space V. So, any vector in V can be expressed in terms of its base vectors. So, C1 C2 Cn will then be called as the coordinates of V with respect to basis V1. Now, let us say W is equal to T of V, that is, this is equal to T times C1 V1 plus C2 V2 plus Cn Vn. So, T being a linear transformation, one can write down this as C1 times T of V1 plus C2 times T of V2 plus Cn times T of Vn. So, this transformation T of V is expressed in terms of images of the base vectors V1, V2 and Vn. So, this vector W is represented as a linear combination of TV1, TV2 and T of Vn. That means to specify T, it is enough to specify the vectors TV1, TV2 and TVn. So, but what is TV1, TV2, TVn? These are the vectors in W, and let us say W has a basis B2 consisting of W1, W2, Wm is an ordered basis for W. This happens to be an m-dimensional vector space. So, we will have only m vectors. Then any vector Vj is a vector in the basis B1. So, T of Vj is equal to A1j W1 plus A2j W2 plus AMJ Wm. What I am going to do here is I am trying to express TVj in terms of the base vectors W1, W2, Wm. These are the scalars. So, TVj is equal to this for all j is equal to 1 to n. Now, the transformation is completely determined with the vectors Aij. If I know these coefficients A12, A2j, Amj for all j's, then I know the transformation. So, that is how we write down TVj. So, if for given Vj, the coefficient Aij are arranged in the jth column of the m by n matrix A, then this matrix determines the transformation T. It has Vj is the jth vector. So what we do is we try to arrange these coefficients in the jth column for tvj, and that is what we have, the matrix A. So given the basis and the matrix A, the transformation is completely known. The matrix A will be an m by n matrix. Why? Because we are having n vectors, so we are going to have n columns, and in each column there will be m vectors, so we will be having A m into n, m rows and n columns. So this represents the transformation from an n dimensional vector space V to m dimensional vector space W. The matrix of transformation is always with respect to ordered basis. This is the point which you have to remember. As we change the basis, the matrix of transformation will be different. And that is why there can be multiple matrices representing the given transformation depending upon the basis you consider. This is because the entries in the matrix depend on the basis they are being chosen. So for different bases we may have different representation for the matrix A. The transformation remains the same. Now we have a theorem. If we have a linear transformation T from a n dimensional vector space V into an m dimensional vector space W, and B1 is a basis for V and B2 is a basis for W, and V is equal to C1 C2 Cn transpose is a column vector with the coordinate vector x in V with respect to basis B1, and W is equal to D1 D2 Dn transpose be the coordinates of y in W with respect to basis B2, then T of x is equal to y means AV is equal to W. So with the transformation T we can associate a matrix A such that AV is equal to W. So for a given transformation Tx is equal to y, we can associate a linear transformation A such that AV is equal to W. Now if we have T linear transformation from V to W, or we can say T is a transformation from Rn to Rm, then W, which is a vector column vector m by 1, is equal to the matrix A m by n matrix multiplied by the column vector n by 1. So this is what we have. So if A is an m by n matrix, then A defines a linear transformation from Rn into Rm by sending the column vector V in Rn to the column vector W in Rm. So the matrix A defines the linear transformation T. So with every linear transformation there is an associated matrix A. Now matrix of an identity transformation. So if we have a transformation T from V to V, then the identity transformation means every x in V will map to T of x, or T of x will be x itself. So if I have a vector C1 C2 Cn that is that will map to A C1 C2 Cn, then this relationship is possible provided Aij is equal to 1 whenever I is equal to j and 0 when I is not equal to j. So if we can have such Aij's, then this is possible, and this will be such a transform. So this will be such a matrix for the given linear transformation T. And if we recall the definition for the identity matrix, this is nothing but the definition of identity matrix. Aij is equal to 1 when I is equal to j. That means in columns we have, in the diagonals we have 1 and rest of the elements are 0. So such a matrix is an identity matrix, or we can say this identity matrix is associated with the identity transformation T. Similarly, the zero transformation from V to V, the associated matrix is the 0 matrix. Now, in the next example, our transformation is being given to us from R2 to R3. We have to find out the associated matrix. For this, the basis for R2 is given as B1 consisting of two vectors V1, V2 as 1, minus 1 and 2, 0, while the ordered basis for R3 is provided as 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 1. These bases have to be specified because the matrix depend on the basis. If we change the matrix, if we change the basis, the matrix will be different. We have to find the matrix representing the transformation. So, for the solution, we start with the definition T x1 x2 is given to us as 2x1 minus 3x2, second component is x1 and third component is x2 plus 5x1. So, we first see how these images, how these basis elements map to the image set. So, T1 minus 1 is equal to 5, 1, 4. Let us see how. X1 is 1 and x2 is equal to minus 1. So, 2x1 minus 3x2 is 5, x1 is 1 and x2 plus 5x1, that comes out to be 4. The second element, second vector 2, 0 will map to 4 to 10 in R3, like x1 is 1, x2 is 0. So, when we substitute it here, it will be 4, 2 and 10. Now, we try to represent the vectors 5, 1, 4, 4 to 10 in terms of the basis B2. So, 5, 1, 4 is represented as a linear combination of bases 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 1. So, we have to determine A1, A2, A3 so that this matrix equation is satisfied. For this purpose, I will say A1 plus A2 is equal to 5, A1 plus A3 is equal to 1, A2 plus A3 is equal to 4, and when we solve these three equations in three unknowns A1, A2, A3, we will get A1 is equal to 1, A2 is equal to 4 and A3 is equal to 0. That means we have obtained the image of the first vector in terms of the base elements. So, this for the second 4 to 10 we express it as B1 1 1 0 plus B2 1 0 1 plus B3 0 1 1. So, it is a linear combination of base vectors, and again we have three equations. 4 is equal to B1 plus B2, 2 equal to B1 plus B3 and 10 equal to B2 plus B3. These three equations are solved simultaneously and the solution comes out to be B1 is equal to minus 2, B2 is equal to 6, B3 is equal to 4. So, we can say the matrix A is 1 4 0 and minus 2, 6 and 4. How we get this matrix? This first is the representation of the first vector Te1 and this is the representation of the second vector 4 to 10. So, second matrix and second vector, that we say it is an ordered basis, that is why we first write down the first vector and then we write down the second vector. So, corresponding to 4 to 10 we have this column and corresponding to the earlier vector we have this column 1 4 0. So, this is the matrix associated with the given linear transformation. That is how we obtain the matrix for the given linear transformation. Now, we say that every m by n matrix A can be identified with a linear transformation T from Rn to Rm, and the range of an m by n matrix is the space of its column vectors in Rm. We are having in the matrix A we will be having vectors in Rm. So, the range space of that will be the range of the matrix. The rank of A is the maximum number of linearly independent column vectors of A. That is how we define rank of the matrix A. A will have number of column vectors. So, the independent column vectors will constitute the base vectors for the matrix for the space, and that is why we say the rank of A is the maximum number of linearly independent column vectors of A. Then the kernel of A is the set of all vectors x in Rn such that Ax is equal to 0. All these definitions are actually taken from the definition of linear transformations. Only thing, once we have identified the linear transformation and matrix representation, one can very easily write down these things. And accordingly, the nullity of A is the dimension of its kernel. A linear transformation from Rn to Rn is 1 to 1 if and only if it is onto this is the result which we have obtained earlier. Only thing is we have written for the matrix. N by n matrix A will be 1 linear transformation if its range is the whole space. In other words, the linear transformation is 1 if its rank is n. And this means that the maximum number of linearly independent vectors is n. And accordingly, a square matrix is non-singular if and only if its column vectors are linearly independent. This is the result which we have started. A square matrix is a linear transformation is non-singular if it is a linear transformation we have defined as to be non-singular if kernel T is equal to theta. And then with the help of the results which we have established just now, one can very easily say that a square matrix is non-singular if and only if its column vectors are linearly independent. We will consider linear transformation T from R2 to R2 and another transformation S from R2 to R2, R2 to R3, which are defined as T U1 U2 will map to U1 minus U2 comma U1 plus U2 and S U1 comma U2 to twice U1 plus thrice U2, U1 plus U2 and U1 minus U2. Now, we have to obtain the composite transformation S composite T. We start with the standard basis for R2, then T of E1 is equal to T of 1 0 is 1 1, T of E2 is equal to T of 0 comma 1 is equal to minus 1 and 1 according to the definition being given to us. Therefore, V is equal to Tu can be expressed as this matrix 1 1, this first column, and the second image of second vector is minus 1 1, this is I express as this column. So, this is the matrix representation for the given transformation. Similarly, for the second we say W is equal to 2 1 1 3 1 minus 1 is the second matrix associated with the transformation. Now, W is image set of S and let us say W belongs to image set of S and V belongs to image set of T, then SOT is a transformation from R2 to R3 and it is given as S composite TU is S of TU, U belonging to R2, and since this is being given to us V is equal to this W is equal to BV being given to us. So, I simply substitute the matrices. So, W is equal to 2 1 1 3 1 minus 1 and this V is 1 minus 1 1 1 U, or if we multiply these two matrices what we can get W as product of two matrices 5 1 2 0 0 minus 2. So, that is how we can say that the matrix representation of the composite transformation SOT is the product matrix BA. Now, let V be an n-dimensional vector space having basis as S and T is an invertible linear operator, then A be the matrix representation with respect to basis S. Then A inverse is the associated matrix representation of the transformation T inverse with respect to S. So, a vector space being given to us, a transformation is given to us, according to associated with this transformation, we have a matrix A given to us. Then A inverse is the associated matrix representation of the transformation T inverse with respect to the basis S. So, this is what we have to prove. So, to prove this, we consider that T is invertible, and since it is invertible, so we can say T composite T inverse is equal to I. So, there exists T inverse for the given transformation T such that T composite T inverse is equal to I. Let the matrix associated with the transformation T inverse is B. The matrix associated with the identity transformation is, we know, is an identity matrix. So, the matrix associated with T composite T inverse is AB. Therefore, AB is identity matrix, and from here we conclude that B is equal to A inverse. By this I mean to say that if a given transformation is given to us as T, its associated matrix is A, and if the transformation is invertible, then we can very easily find out the matrix associated with the inverse transformation, that is A inverse. So, the two things are related. Now, with this we come to an end of this lecture. This lecture is related with the linear transformation. We have continued with our earlier lecture. So, in this set of two lectures we have covered concepts related to linear transformation. I have started with the definition, some basic results are given, and finally I have tried to represent a linear transformation as a matrix, and then we relate certain more results, and the next turn we will discuss rank and other related concepts. Thank you.
Thank you.